Well, I thought I'd give you guys an update on the brake job that the car had. In my last video I told you guys that I was going to do a video on this. The car went in yesterday actually for the brakes to be replaced, and as I told you in my previous video, the brake warning light came on and it wouldn't go off, and I'll show you guys why in a second. But I'm sitting here with all the parts in front of me. I've got the rotors and the brake pads back from the dealer. They put them in the trunk. I'm not so sure I should have actually asked for the stuff, but I want to show you guys what they actually look like and the state that they're in. So let's take a closer look. So here we have the front rotor, and I'm just going to get the rear rotor out here as well. We can do a comparison now. Oddly enough, the rear rotor seems more worn than the front rotor. It actually has a deeper lip on the edge here, as opposed to the front rotor's lip, which is slightly less. These rotors are definitely past their sell-by date, both front and rear. The thing is, with the brake pads, the service advisor actually called me and he asked me, why do I want to change the brakes? And I said to him, well, because they're worn. He said, but they actually have a lot of life left on them. Now this is the rear brake pad, and as you can see, there are still quite a few thousand miles on here. But the problem is, if you see this here, this is the actual sensor which was attached to this cable over here. So this is the sensor, and obviously when they take the brake pad off, it breaks because there's a little thing holding it on. But you can see there's the sensor there, and you can see a clear groove cut into the sensor over there, even though the pad has quite a lot of bite on it still. And the main reason for that is because this lip was actually cutting into the sensor, and that's why the brake pad wear indicator came on. The guy, she said to me, we can actually just replace the brake pads and then you can change the discs next time. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that, because then it just means I've got to buy new brake pads sooner than later. So let's just do everything in one go. Let's do the front as well, because it's a matter of time before the front starts doing the same thing. So here we have the front pads, and you can see these are quite beefy, quite beefy guys. Now on this as well, you can see there's quite a lot of meat still left on the pads. I've got the sensor here for the front. This sensor was okay still, and it hadn't yet, the disc hadn't yet chewed into the actual sensor here. But so I actually didn't have to replace the front brakes, but you know what? I thought I'd do it all in one go, because then I know I can drive with peace of mind and I don't have to worry about this for a long time to come. Now we know that these cars are fairly heavy on brakes. I think any of you have an X250, a Jaguar XF are going to agree that brakes are just something that these cars go through like crazy. Now my hand's pretty dirty. So the part number on these was C2D3801. That was for the front, and it just says Jaguar X250, X150 and X351. That's the XF, the XK and the XJ. And then for the rear, these are all genuine parts, by the way. I had it done at the Jaguar dealer. The rear was C2D3792. I just want to show you guys what the rear disc actually looks like. These things are extremely heavy. The amount of weight that this was carrying in my car was phenomenal. You know, the outer edge is actually more worn than the inner edge. And they wore actually very, very smoothly, I must say. There's no warping, there is no gouging, there are no ridges. It's pretty smooth, and they're pretty healthy. Otherwise, there you can see the inner section is actually thicker than the outer section, so it chows more on the outside by the looks of things. Then the front rotors, wow, these things are really heavy. Now these are the same with either side. I don't know, maybe they designed that way. You guys can elaborate on that, those of you who have done your brakes yourself. So the brakes have all been changed. I'm going to show you guys some footage of the new brakes right now. They cleaned the calipers as well, which made me very happy. I forgot to actually ask them that. And so that was a nice touch. Oddly, I took it to the same dealer where I had my X260 serviced, and the same one that buckled my rims. But I thought I'd give them a chance to redeem themselves, and I think they did, because they did a fairly good job. But when I got there yesterday, I waited an hour for my car, and I realized that something is wrong. The service advisor came to me eventually, and he said to me that they're having a small problem. The check engine light is on. And I said to him, that's strange, because the check engine light has never come on since I bought this car, and let's face it, it had quite a few things wrong with it. He said to me that apparently the car could not communicate with the gearbox. So I said to him, well, the gearbox had been serviced last week. He said, well, it's possible that maybe they didn't put the plug back properly. I asked him, well, did they check the plug? He said no. He said if it comes on again, I should take the car back to them. It's quite a long distance to drive to get to ZF, and I don't think I'm going to be doing that. But if the check engine light comes on again, I'll just take the car back to them. They can put it on the hoist and check if that plug is actually in properly. I did wash the car on Saturday, so it's possible that water got through the supercharger ducts into the engine bay and ran in to where that plug actually sits. And if that plug isn't put in properly, moisture or water can actually get in there. So that could have been the reason for that, but I will probably only see next time I wash my car if that actually happens again. I took the car out for a drive this morning quickly. I got up to about 200 kilometers per hour on the highway, and there was no check engine light. The car's just driving beautifully with these new wheels, and it's stopping nicely with these new brakes. I just wanted to give you guys that update and let you guys know what's actually happening, what's going on. I think the next thing that I have to have the dealer do, and I'm going to have to wait a couple of months so I can save up some money for that, because it's not going to be cheap either. This brake job was not cheap. They quoted me just under 30,000 Rand, South African Rand, to do this, and I sent the service manager a WhatsApp and asked him if they could give me some discount, and they gave me 5,000 Rand discount. I was very happy with the discount they gave me. I'm quite satisfied with the work. I'm satisfied with the price, considering the amount of work that had to go into this. I wouldn't have been able to do this myself really, because I don't have the equipment, and it would have been quite a faff. It would have taken a hell of a long time to do, and I just don't have the time. I barely have time to film, so that's why I've got to try and make this short and sweet. But I thought I'd just give you guys an update on that. And the next job is going to be the supercharger pulley, the supercharger oil, and then the spark plugs. I'm going to have all three of those things done at the same time. That'll happen in a few months' time. The next video, like I promised you in the previous video, is going to be on sorting out the door rattle. While driving it this morning, that door rattle was actually irritating me quite a lot. It was just all of a sudden there. After I had the car at the dealer yesterday, I got it back, and driving home, the rattle was there again. So I don't think this car likes going to the dealer. Maybe it had a bad experience there before, I don't know. Just a quick update. The subwoofer on the car wasn't working, and I want to show you guys quickly. So in order to show you, I've got to come into the trunk. That's where the subwoofer sits. I've got a LED light shining down here. There's the battery over there, and I've got a light shining in here so I can show you guys. But for some strange reason, the plug for the subwoofer had this tape around it. Now my old XF, it didn't have this tape on it, so somebody put that there. But I pulled the plug out, I disconnected it, and I cleaned the terminals off, and I replugged it back in, and all of a sudden the subwoofer came to life. So now the sound system is playing like it did when it came from the factory. But I just thought I'd tell you guys about that, because what happens is if you replace the battery, the subwoofer tends to just not work as well. So that's just another thing that I need to put out there. And the battery has been changed. The car stood for 3 years, so they put a new battery, and you can see it's a genuine battery from Jag. There's the part number there that they use, and there's Jaguar's information as well. So they put a new battery in to get the car back to life when they took it out of the barn. That could have caused the subwoofer to stop working, but I thought it was actually the terminals as well because, I just cleaned them off. If the subwoofer stops working because of a battery, change and the battery module not being reset, you can actually just unplug the subwoofer plug and then plug it back in, and it should work again. So that's the story on the brake job. Thank you very much for watching, and if you haven't yet, hit that sub button and that like button, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.